Welcome back, Freelancers Undefeated Rescue, and we're continuing with the Gear Showcase series. Today we're back on the Storm, just hanging out in here. A bunch of people in here, but we'll head out on the Bastion and go over some gear. Okay, so we are back in GM1, and we're on the Storm, and we are showcasing. We're actually all done with the Blast Seals. We're on Focus Seals now, and we are showcasing Black Ice. So Black Ice has a counterpart, Steam Vent, and Steam Vent is the Cataclysm weapon type. But we're going to save the Cataclysm stuff till the end of the series, or at least till the end of the Gear series, and go over those. But we can draw some comparisons in the meantime. So damage-wise, I do the exact same damage. Recharge is the same. The only difference is Steam Vent has a fire effect of 20, which means it pretty much primes them almost immediately with fire, unless they're resistant to fire. And then also over here, if you look for the damage, Black Ice has frost on it, but it doesn't have frost effect. So that's something to consider. As far as the overall, like what it does is it's an upgraded glacial spear. Combo effect, it chains, which is what the Storm inherently does. It has a chaining effect when it detonates combos, and then hitting an enemy freezes other nearby enemy types. So basically, the way it works is when you hit an enemy, you'll freeze them, and it can detonate. However, it based off the chaining effect is how it kind of freezes nearby enemies. So that's how its reach kind of works. Is it's based off the chaining effect, but we'll go in and showcase it in GM1. So I used to use this a lot in before the Cataclysm for the Echoes of Reality, because this was the only like really good detonator that the Storm had in this gear slot. But in GM1, you see it's doing really good, and you can see like it's doing normal damage, and then it's doing like frost damage on top of it. And you can kind of see that from the donation of the numbers. So you see like there's some like yellowish numbers and then blue ones. The blue ones are the ice damage it's doing. I'm not sure why it doesn't specify the frost effect. And I'm not going to be able to show the Masterwork perk on here unless I go up against... okay. But yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show off the Masterwork perk because it's so powerful it's going to take down all the enemy types. And we'll see how it works against shields. So, takes down their shield with one shot, and then takes them down with one, but it comboed them as well. Okay. And then it actually did. It chained to them and froze them when I comboed them, so. But you'll definitely see that a lot more in GM3. So they should be primed. They were, but... And then you see how it froze this individual right there, because they were next to him when I detonated that combo. So, completely took them down. Alright, so here's an armored enemy. And it took them out instantly. GM1, as usual, no surprises. Got a couple more armored enemies. Pretty strong. And he's got pretty good range. Yeah. As you see, the armored enemies aren't really getting the blue numbered effect, which kind of... That tells me they're not getting that ice effect, but they are primeable. Like I said, we'll see it more in GM3. What the heck were they? Alright, so takes their shield down really well and does some damage to them. It should combo. And it did, and took him down instantly. So I don't think I really went over this. I backed out too quick. So for my numbers here, I have an additional 125% gear damage, so my numbers are going to be a little bit higher than what you would see for the base numbers. But I just want to go over that before we go in GM3 so you're aware. Okay, so yeah, you really didn't get to see it showcased too much here other than it's just normal damage output. But we'll go into GM3 and showcase it there, and hopefully we'll be able to show off the Masterwork perk a lot more. Okay, so we are in GM3, still using Black Ice. Yeah. So I'm kind of pairing it with Venomous Blaze for this because I will need an additional primer just to kind of help carry me through the dungeon. There's no specific reason. I just like it. Like kind of like whenever Storms are kind of having like an open discussion about what they want to do for builds and stuff, and they ask me like, what do I like better, Winter's Wraith or Binary Star? I usually say Venomous Blaze. So okay, so we'll test it against their shield. Does about half the damage against shield. I think I've frozen them. Nope, they should be frozen now. Okay, now they're frozen. Detonates prime, but it's taking a lot to do, right? Taking a lot to do damage to them, and they're not even in an ice elementalist, so they have like 0 resist. So I think we kind of cleared that up with them. See if I primed them, and then you can kind of continuously prime if you have a different primer. Oop, I missed that one. Oh god, would they stay still? Okay, so we'll see if we can get the group to prime with this, with the Masterwork perk. Okay, so they're frozen. Everyone kind of moved back, unfortunately. As you see, I froze a group there, and it spread the prime around. Okay. I'm gonna have to take down their shield. Yep, and then I'll freeze them again, and then hopefully we can freeze the group. Yep, so we froze the group. But now the whole group's frozen. Detonated them, and detonate. So basically, based or kind of like there's a way the description of the Masterwork perk indicates, it's better for groups. See if I can. So you see how like I froze that one on a hit, and then the frozen one right next to him. It's not a very generous distance though. They really do have to kind of be grouped up. So if you kind of like pay attention to the chaining combo and the way that works, that will help you better determine like what kind of distance you're going to freeze a group at. Wow, that's unusual. There's nobody in here. Okay. So it's odd that in the description of the perk it doesn't state that there's an ice effect, because it's pretty much almost guaranteed. If I had to guess, I would say it's probably around like 15. You can see the chaining effect froze all of them. So it passed from this one to that one to that one. So it has to like pass, like a Tesla trap almost. Not necessarily a Tesla trap. That's confusing. Kind of like it uses targets to track off another target, but it can only do up to 3. So they're an ice elementalist, and it takes down their shield pretty well. Let's see here. And it freezes them instantly. Okay damage, nothing really good though. Combos really well. Yeah, so with freezing a group, they have to be like really close. I would say, because we just saw an enemy get chained from the chaining effect, and it didn't freeze them on the initial ice blast or the initial black ice hit. Okay, so now we got big groups over here. Let's see if we can. So it chains all this group together. So I'm not getting a ton of damage from using this, but because of the way the chain works and it's freezing them, I'm taking off a little bit of damage on all of them, and they are all primed right now. So that's kind of where it shines right there, is dealing with that. Other than that, if you're doing like one-on-one or missing with a smaller group that's kind of spread out. Let's see if I can deal with them. I have to get both their shields down. That kind of pushed them away, unfortunately. Yeah, timing's gonna be weird with those guys. And then you can see, like, I just froze a line of individuals. And you see how it just keeps spreading it around. Alright, we'll go ahead and clear these guys out and try to find some armored enemies. Okay, so here are some armored enemies. Okay, so let's see here. Takes about a third of their shield. That's really good, actually. It's really good against shields. And then I should have frozen them. I did. I got the combo effect. And now they're frozen. So I'll unfreeze them, I'd prime them with acid, and then I would detonate them while also freezing them with ice. So now they're still frozen and primed again. Just keep comboing back and forth. So I could pretty much just finish them off with this. Yeah. Not doing tons of damage, but it's doing pretty good damage. Okay, so let's go over a couple things real quickly. So for let's back out so we don't have to listen to this exciting music. Okay, so as far as checking the boxes, is it efficient? It's actually pretty efficient. So basically, when you hit an enemy, it typically will freeze them right then and there. Even though they're not primed, it'll still freeze them on the spot and still do good damage, pretty decent damage. And then as far as if there's other enemies close enough to him, it's not. It has to be kind of like within that chaining effect area. It doesn't specify in the perk or even in the description how far away they need to be or how close they need to be. But as you could see from the gameplay, like if they were pretty much like right next to them, it would freeze those individuals. If they were further than that, like there was a decent gap in between them, probably I would say like a meter or two, it would not freeze them unless I chain them, which isn't really how it's the description works. But then you would set up, so kind of the way it would work is you would freeze an enemy, or you would hit an enemy doing about 3,500 damage or whatever your output is. It would freeze them, so then they would be primed, then you could come back and just hit them again, so you could detonate your own combo. And then it would chain and freeze a bunch of enemies in the chaining distance, which is usually a decent amount of spacing. And then it would just jump from enemy to enemy, enemy to enemy, which was pretty interesting because then you could hit one of the other frozen enemies further away. It would chain from them to another group, so you could chain a lot with this one. That's something that's really interesting with this. Is it seems like it has a lot of synergy with chaining, but I mean this is the Storm, so this isn't like the only one that can do that. Most of all of their detonators can do that, but this one just seems to benefit from it very well because it's freezing larger groups, because that's what they're primed with, or that's what you're chaining with is ice prime, so you're able to freeze a larger group of enemies, which makes it a little bit easier for crowd control because they're not moving, they're not fighting back, and then you can like focus on different things, or you can reposition, or you know, whatever you need to do. If you need to get a recharge back, it just gives you more time if time is something you're concerned with. So I would say it's really efficient. Is it viable? Well, it's a detonator, so anything that kind of works towards the priming system, or sorry, the comboing system that primes, detonates, or whatever, creates synergy between combos is usually going to be very, very viable. It's very rarely that I would say, nah, it's not worth it when that's like the main like system in the game. I mean, we've gone over combos and how they get you your ults back quicker. They do a lot more damage, and they're just generally, in my opinion, a lot more fun to do. But that kind of brings us to the third one. It is fun, and I think it's fun. I think it's fun just chaining and watching just a line of group of enemies get frozen, and then coming in with my venomous blaze, unpriming them because that's a fire element, or sorry, not unpriming them, unfreezing them. But now they're primed with acid, and then I just detonate all of them with acid prime. Now they've got acid effects, so now they're getting acid tick damage, and now they're all weakened because it's acid. And then I just come by and just detonate them again and freeze them. Freeze a whole line of them again. So it's kind of fun. I like that kind of stuff, so I think it's fun. Some other notes are, we'll talk real quickly on this, just like comparing it, because it is comparable to its counterpart, which is Steam Vent. Steam Vent is inherently better in a lot of different ways, but Steam Vent's a little bit easier to obtain because it comes through the seasonal store. So you don't really have to spend coin on it like you would with Black Ice when it comes to the regulator store. So that's kind of something that really can take a lot of weight off your play as far as like determining, oh, should I go for Steam Vent? Because Steam Vent is better. I want to tell you right now, Steam Vent is 100% better because of what it does and how well it does it. But it's a Cataclysm weapon. All the Cataclysm weapons, or gear, sorry, all the Cataclysm gear, in my opinion, is the best in the game. There's only a couple things I've had some issues with, but even then, they're still really good. Generally, it's just because they work so much differently, which we'll go over that one in a later video, but yeah, I think I'm going to stop it right here and give it I'm going to give it a thumbs up because it's still very good. It's very truthful. Let me just go in real quick and show you, like, I'm pretty sure minus or Steam Vent, well, technically 10,000 Suns isn't a detonator as well, but if you're looking for a detonator in the Focus Seal slot, your choice, if you don't have Steam Vent, is Black Ice. Well, it's either Black Ice, Steam Vent, or 10,000 Sun. I'm going to recommend Black Ice every single time. They all have their utilities, but I'm going to say you're going to have a lot better luck and mileage with Black Ice. But I'll go over those ones in different videos. But I'm going to end the video here. Undefeated Rescue, and I hope to see you guys out in Bastion.